Welcome to Community Connections, brought to you by Synapsity, featuring conversations, stories, and interviews with Ottawa's leading changemakers. Enjoy this episode. Today on Community Connections, we welcomed the newly elected councillor for the Rideau-Vanier Ward, Stéphanie Plante. All right, everybody, welcome back to Community Connections. And now we are featuring the municipal election, and we're getting to feature some of the successful candidates. And I want to welcome in Stéphanie Plante. And Stéphanie has spent her entire career promoting and protecting our democratic institutions. She is passionate about her community, and she has been a resident of Ward 12 for almost 20 years. She's a proud francophone as well. Stéphanie cares deeply about a walkable, safe, and green Ottawa with great public spaces. She first moved to Ottawa to work for her local member of parliament and fell in love with the nation's capital. Hard not to, right? She's also worked at Elections Canada for many years, helping to organize elections all over the country. She taught a course on municipal governance at the University of Ottawa. Stéphanie believes that the most important issues and challenges facing the Rideau-Vanier Ward are the shortage of family doctors, addressing our active and public transportation options, tackling climate change, increasing housing options, and promoting la Francophonie. Stéphanie has a master's degree from the University of Windsor and lives in Sandy Hill with her family. Welcome in, Stéphanie Plante.
That was really great. Thanks so much.
No worries. Congratulations on your victory.
Thank you. It was a late night, but we pulled through, so I'm really happy.
Absolutely. No, it was great to see. So you must be thrilled and already getting into action. How has the transition period from the campaign to councillor-elect gone for you?
Well, I mean, I've been involved in my community for a long time. I've been on community association since 2006, both in Vanier and in Sandy Hill. So I kind of knew the deep dive of the issues. So when I was going door to door, and even now when I'm sitting in some of these meetings with Mathieu, who's the outgoing councillor, he's sort of bringing me in on some transition meetings. I'm already alive to a lot of the issues, you know, the Montreal Road issues, or our housing, homelessness, and opioid issues, our lack of family doctors, as you mentioned. Some of the traffic, I know traffic calming can seem really boring, but it's a very big issue, especially around our schools. So it's been going pretty well. It's just like a deep dive into what I was doing before.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're only giving you a couple weeks, right? So
I know.
Lots to dive into.
Yeah, yeah. It is a lot to dive into, but you know, I wouldn't have taken this job with a boring ward. Do you know what I mean? Like I like a ward where things are always happening and things are also different. And you have to understand too, this ward is not just like a live in this ward. People live, work, and play in this ward. So here we have the Rideau Center, and so there's a lot of, and we have the STO buses. So there's a lot of people just commuting to their downtown jobs. There's a lot of students. There's 49,000 students at the University of Ottawa. We have over 300 diplomatic missions. We have something like 600 merchants in the Byward Market in the Rideau Center. There's really never a dull moment. Like it's happening down here. So for sure.
Lots of stuff going on. And you mentioned Mathieu, and you'll be taking over. He was a very popular councillor. I'm wondering, what are some of the things that he worked on that you would like to continue, and what new challenges do you want to take on?
Well, definitely even though it's sort of this intractable problem, he's been working on the file to try to get trucks off King Edward. So King Edward is a provincial road that intersects kind of my ward, and actually more of I thought it was the other ward, but it's actually the other ward. If you've ever been skating on the Rideau Canal, you know where King Edward is. And we're the only downtown core in the G7 that has trucks running through it. It's kind of weird, to be honest with you. And so I hope to continue his legacy on that. And if I may, Mathieu was really amazing at just like the retail side of politics, like going to every community association meeting, going for coffee with residents. You know, he's just really, if you call him about like the cat up the tree, he knows the guy to call to get the cat out the tree. So like, I kind of just want to master that version of politics. And I used to work for a guy named Herb Gray as well. He was a member of parliament for Windsor West. I was born in Windsor. And he also, like, he stood outside our version of the Loblaws, like every other Saturday, handing out flyers, answering questions. And I really like that side of politics. Obviously, there's some bigger issues I want to tackle, but if I could just get the magic sauce for that, I think it'll be a good term. So,
Yeah, you'll have a busy calendar for sure.
mhm.
So you're one of 10 brand new councillors, and we're also getting a new mayor in about 2 weeks.
Right.
How do you feel you'll be able to work with these new councillors and the new mayor?
Well, I've already started, and I apologize, I do have a bit of a cold, but I've already started meeting with the new counselors. So I made a commitment throughout the campaign to be collegial, to be nice. I've done elections in a lot of countries, and I know viscerally what happens when people sort of are only pulling the bed sheets onto their side and they're not sharing and they're not being nice. And so I've made a commitment to meet with every single counselor in, hopefully in their ward. I don't know if because technically they come to my ward. I don't know if you knew that. They come to this ward like once a week. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll make a commitment to meet them on their side of the city. But some of them are quite far. I didn't calculate for that. So we may actually be meeting here. But I met with 2 new counselors this week. We had brunch in their wards and we chatted about issues. And like, honestly, we all have about 3, 4, sometimes 5 things we have in common that we want to push forward. So hopefully this time it'll be a bit smoother. I have absolutely no doubt we'll have disagreements, but I'll always remember these people. And now I know their kids' names. I know their dogs' names. Like, it's different when you know someone on that personal level.
Yeah, it's great to get the FaceTime, and I'm sure
Yeah.
folks will be excited that you're, sort of prioritizing collaboration
Yeah.
and, sort of moving that forward because we know at City Hall that hasn't always been the case, right?
Right. And, I kind of wanted to position myself as the counselor, like that people can go to if they need a vote, if they need advice, if they need a coffee, if they need an umbrella, like it's all in my office. Right. So, that's kind of where I'm trying to position myself. And, you have to remember too, I'm the only francophone counselor. So, that gives me a bit of a unique position. And so I hope that people can know that I come from a very sincere place and I'm someone who really wants to get things done.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds like your office is going to be the place to be.
No disco
So,
balls or anything like that, but
no,
maybe a
no, no.
Spotify playlist for sure.
Yeah. So Rideau-Vanier had the lowest voter turnout of all the wards in Ottawa, despite having a close mayoral race and a very competitive local race. So does this make your job harder? And second part, how do we get more constituents out to vote next time?
So that's a great question. So Rideau-Vanier's always kind of had real low voter turnout, whether the election is provincial, municipal, federal, whatever. It's just sort of, when I don't like to sort of be blunt like this, but sometimes when you have a lot of renters, which we do in this ward, and we have students, we have a lot of students, and those are just typically groups that don't vote. But one thing I was really heartened to see, so for the advanced poll, they put a lot of advanced polls in buildings, and that helped to increase the turnout physically in those buildings. Like people literally could just walk downstairs in their pajamas, vote, and go back upstairs. And that seemed to, you put it, people will come. And so it's definitely a conversation I'd like to have with Elections Ottawa for the next election. I have a lot of buildings in my ward. And so it would be nice if, kind of those voter outreach initiatives could be more permanently put in place and not just in condos, like in rentals as well.
Yeah, no, great points. It's all about accessibility
Right.
and allowing people the ease of voting and not having to kind of figure out where they're at
Right.
and try to map it out and all that. So let's dive into some of the issues now. I know transit was a key piece of your platform. You'd like to see trucks off downtown streets, like you mentioned, and protected bike lanes throughout your ward. So I'm
Right.
I'm definitely game for that. What are some things that you are hoping to achieve around transit in your first few months in office?
Can we just get these trains to run on time? Like that would be great. Like let's let's start with like a classic like watch and timing. Well, actually, what I'm actually really hoping to do, and I'm being very sincere, we're going to have a new transit commissioner. I would like to bring that transit commissioner into my ward to physically meet with constituents, because my ward is a bit weird in the sense like people who live in Lower Town and Sandy Hill, they tend to walk a lot. And then as you go further into Vanier, people rely on public transit. So people in sort of the more western, I guess, part of the ward, they really want plowed streets, they want good snow clearing, they want bike lanes. And people in Vanier want those things too, but they're way more reliant on public transit. So I'm hoping to bring the new transit commissioner into the ward to get an idea of what the needs are. I can tell you what my needs are, but that's definitely not going to be the needs of everybody. So whoever that person may be, and I've already sort of been solicited by someone who wants to have that job. So we'll see where it goes. And I would definitely want them to come in, listen. And I think it's important too that we realize that our bus fleet, I mean, the LRT is great if you're someone who like lives way far out and you rely on it, but a lot of people rely on the bus service. So I want to make sure that our bus service is up to standard.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a tough job for whoever gets it,
I
but
know.
definitely a lot of things to tackle on
Right.
their first day, first week, first month kind of thing.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about OC Transpo. It was a hot topic during the election. In the wake of the LRT inquiry, many candidates were calling for a complete overhaul of the system and an official review of OC Transpo. What are your thoughts on the public transit, and do you support a complete overhaul or review?
Good question. So I'm the only candidate who said they wanted to implement the recommendations from the LRT Commission. So I think we need to start from a standpoint of where things have gone wrong and where we can fix them in the future. As for OC Transport needing a total overhaul, I actually didn't get that from constituents. What I got was people rely on the bus and they just want it to work. And so, you know, I actually don't think we need to reinvent the wheel with OC Transpo. Again, I'll have a larger, I wish I had a more solid answer for you, but I will have a larger conversation with the transit commissioner and with some OC Transpo staff, and especially with residents. And we also have a really active group called the Ottawa Transit Riders that I'm hoping to get in touch with. So I don't necessarily think we need to go that far. I don't think there's some large conspiracy with drivers or with OC Transpo itself. I just think there's a whole bunch of factors that have been at play for a long time, which is the lack of drivers, the pandemic, people not commuting into downtown anymore, so our routes are not serving that population. And we just need to sort of reconfigure the routes to make sure that they suit the needs of residents, and residents in the core overwhelmingly rely on the bus. So we need to make sure that that's there for them.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Seemed like a lot of the other councillors or potential candidates were sort of mentioning, we've got buses that just go downtown, but
Right.
getting across to other areas is tricky. So, maybe a slight tweak there instead of a full overhaul.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't think anybody ever said to me they wanted a whole overhaul. They just said, hi, I'm reliant on the 15. And instead of coming every hour, it comes every 90 minutes, and so to me, it's just a matter of getting the bus to where the people need it. I don't think a whole overhaul is completely necessary, but, we'll see what the new transit commissioner thinks.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll be
Yeah.
watching. So let's change gears. Let's talk climate a bit. Another big issue. You support the climate change master plan and the energy evolution strategy, which is great. And that's promoting retrofitting of many residential and commercial buildings. It's a great strategy. Yet those who are making the change to renewable resources like heat pumps and solar panels are often burdened with extra fees and
Right.
charges from Hydro Ottawa. So can you talk a bit about where you would like to see the climate strategy go and how that fits in with the management of Hydro Ottawa?
So when I read a spoiler, he sent me the questions in advance. And when I read this question, last night, I was thinking, oh my God, I have so much to learn about Hydro Ottawa. I honestly didn't know the answer, and I didn't want to seem disingenuous and just research something that I didn't have an answer for you. But I will say that the climate change master plan is not just retrofitting. As you probably know, it's things like the tree canopy, electrical charging stations, all that. But I was surprised to learn that people are beset with these fees. It doesn't seem to make sense to me. And I worry about that too in the context, because I would like to take some of these empty government buildings and transform them into housing. So that's definitely something I need to, and my staff will need to look into, because that doesn't make a lot of sense. And we want people to move to these more energy efficient anything, whether it's a refrigerator, whether it's your Hydro Ottawa, whatever. So my answer, non-answer is that But maybe check back in with me in a couple months and hopefully I'll be more of an expert on Hydro Ottawa. I actually got out my Hydro Ottawa bill to read it, to see what you were referring to, and you were correct. So this is going to be an interesting next couple months.
Yeah, things around the net metering fee.
Mhm.
People are wanting to do the amperage upgrade on their panels,
Right,
and that's pretty hefty, especially when they're looking at bringing in a heat pump or an electric vehicle charger. It's just that extra fee. So
right.
possibly maybe some subsidies there, and then obviously there's that net metering fee for folks who are doing solar. It's not huge, but it does eat into the costs of running their solar, right? So.
Right.
No, it'll definitely be a bit of a file for you to tackle, and excited to see how you roll with it.
Yeah, I'm really happy. One of my staffers who will be coming on is a very I don't want to say prominent, he probably wouldn't use that word, member of the Green Party. And so I'm really hoping that he can better. It's not that I don't know a lot about this, it's just the issues I'm really passionate about are really nichey. So like parks, bike lanes, electrical charging stations, and that Hydro Auto one was just not one I had dug deep into. So definitely going to make sure I'm up to date on that.
Awesome. So housing was another big issue, and we know it was on your platform. And we are seeing changes from all levels of government to encourage the building of more housing and housing units. We know that the wait list for affordable housing is close to 10 years. And so I'm wondering, what are you hoping to accomplish that will increase the supply of affordable housing in your ward and across Ottawa?
Yeah, so this is probably the topic I heard the most about, door to door. I have two sort of prongs that I really want to tackle. So one is our empty buildings in Rideau-Vanier. We have 3 or 4 big government buildings that are just kind of sitting there empty, and they're heated and they're air conditioned and they have parking. And I don't know if you've ever cut your teeth at the community association level, but the nice thing about buildings that are already there is you're not arguing about things like setbacks and like it's there. Okay, we can't argue about anything else. It's there already. And the other thing, and throughout the campaign, we heard a lot about developers and people donations from developers, and then that's its own kind of beast. But I really want to kind of sink my teeth into all these property management companies. So like the CLVs, the districts, the TCUs. We have a lot of TCU in Sandy Hill, especially. We have a lot of Sleepwell in Vanier. And I would like to ask them that they actually have a floor, like maybe 10 or 15% of their stock, because they own a lot of the stock in the city, that they dedicate to affordable housing, especially in and around schools and transit. It's not a secret. I'm someone who had to use affordable housing at some point in my life. It was I would not have been able to get out of a very difficult situation if I didn't have affordable housing available to me. So it's something I'm very passionate about. Women especially need affordable housing when the time calls for it. So it's definitely something that I have as a priority, and I'm actually meeting with the mayor today, and that is the first thing I'm going to be talking about with him. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. Great to hear that you're already tackling that, and not even fully into your position yet. So great job.
No, thank you. It's my mind is blown when I hear people are like, I have a 1 bedroom for $2,100 a month. I'm like, what? Like, do you have a butler? Like, is it fully stocked with groceries every day? Like, what is that? And that's
Yeah, it's
just
pretty
someone
wild.
I know. And I think like, but landlords are charging it because they can, because other people are doing it. And it's wild to me. It really is.
Yeah, but it's great to see. We were down at the Haven in Barhaven there, and it's great to see these communities. They're like a bit of a small family, and they really take pride in their communities. So it'd be
Right.
great to see more across Ottawa for sure.
Right. For sure. And yeah, I'm sure we have a lot of vulnerable people in my ward who really need affordable and social housing. So it's definitely a priority.
Absolutely, and that will obviously have a ripple effect when you look at safety and other things like
Right.
that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So tying climate and housing together, you've said that you want to streamline the process for construction permits so that developers can build more, which is great, right? But how do we do that yet still ensure they are building affordable housing and that they are incorporating renewable technologies that the Energy Evolution Plan champions?
So I was probably a bit of an anomaly in the election, but I was really blunt in the sense like I actually don't think as a city council I can do much about the private sale of homes and the private sale of condos. That's actually regulated by things completely out of my control, like interest rates and inflation. And I really, really, really want to focus on the rental market and making the rental market as affordable as possible, because studies have shown that when you flood the market with affordable rental, everything comes down. The housing prices come down, interest rates go down, because people have options and they don't feel like they have to get in this crazy hamster wheel to try to buy a home, because they know where they live is affordable, it's safe, it's a mixed community. And so I didn't actually really talk about developers in the sense of the sale of affordable housing, because once something gets into the private hands of someone, they can pretty much do whatever they want. So I was just someone, I think when a developer application comes across my desk, I said very bluntly, I want to make sure that it includes affordable rental, that it includes family housing. So that's 3 bedrooms. So we're not building these like, 500 square foot, no shade to no 500 square foot condos, but families don't want to live there. Like, let's be honest. I want developers to be also involved in the building of social housing. So that way we have a very good social housing stock, and that includes co-op housing. And sorry, what was the last part of your question? You had another.
Just making sure that developers are incorporating some of the renewable
Oh,
technologies
yeah.
that we were talking about as well. I know there's the high performance development standard that's coming down. Do we incentivize developers? Do we use the carrot or the stick? Do we just kind of hope that they're using these technologies? Do we give them subsidies? What are some thoughts around that?
I'm always more like, I'm a mom, right? So I always find the carrot works better than the stick. The stick you kind of bring down when things are going really rough. And while I didn't personally take any developer donations, I just don't think we're in a position with the recession coming and with the lack of in Maida, what's that in English? Hold on. With the lack of like people working right now in the construction industry and the shortage of workers, I just don't think we're in a position to be using the stick. I definitely think the carrot for the issues you talk about and the more social issues is the way to go.
Yeah, and maybe championing the folks who are out there in the community doing good, and the developers who are going beyond.
Right.
It's a great look for them. Tenants love it.
Yeah.
People want to be involved and go to work and live in these types of buildings. So it's a bit of a win-win. So I think if we could create that strategy that sort of helps promote those developers who
Right.
are going that extra mile, then that helps on both ends.
Right. No, and it's like 2022. Like let's go. Like this isn't the time anymore. Like there's no plan B for the planet. I say that all the time. And if we don't start insisting on these things, we're kind of just contributing to a big mess. And one of the things I had in my platform, and now I'm going to ask you a question. I don't know if you know what C40 is. So it's like, it used to be 40 cities, but now it's a lot more. And it's kind of this annual meeting of mayors who are really dedicated to issues around climate. And so to me, there's no other forum, and correct me if I'm wrong, where like mayors can get together and talk about like climate issues. Like there's no UN mayors climate summit. You know what I mean? So I really want the city of Ottawa to join C40. I am literally volunteering. I don't even know where the next meeting is, but I will go myself. I will pack my own bags. I will get on the plane and I will be there if they need me, because I just think it's time that we start speaking at the municipal level about these issues, because it's really good. The prime minister goes, he signs the Paris Climate Accord. Like, it's one thing for them to do it at this level, but when you get to our level, this is where the nuts and bolts of climate action really is. And, there's not very many spaces where like a mayor can talk about composting in high-rise buildings. Well, this is the place to talk about composting in high-rise buildings. And so I hope that we can hopefully get on board with C40. And, I'm looking forward to sitting next to, I don't know, the honorable member from Brussels and talking about how they do composting in high-rise buildings or how they do bike lanes, because I think those issues are really important.
Yeah, no, that's a great goal. And, we're seeing the real change kind of happen at the municipal level.
Yeah,
You're looking at cities like Vancouver and Paris who are really stepping forward on the climate file.
right.
And it sounds like you've got another couple topics to talk with Mark about today. So that'll maybe be number 2 or number 3, right?
Yes, after the corner office leather chair combo. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, exactly. So housing, transportation, climate, all of these topics come with a large financial cost. What is
Correct.
your philosophy around taxes and spending? Just how should our city budget work?
The mayor has already committed to a line by line review, which is fine. I just am not opposed, and I've said this door to door, a very small increase in taxes. I just think with the cost of living going up so high, like I don't know if you've been to the grocery store lately, but it is so depressing. And so I've said a small increase of 1% I would support. I don't know if I would support any more. Typically the tax bills have gone up 3%, but I just think we're in a very unique position where people are paying like 12 bucks for peanut butter, which is insane. And we need to make sure that we're responding to those realities. I don't know if that will put projects on hold. When I spoke to the other councilors when we had our brunch over the weekend, like the kind of big ticket items like Lansdowne and Le Breton, sorry, those are kind of the big city building projects. Those will be expensive, but when the mayor does the line by line review, we'll be able to sort of position ourselves differently. But I am in favor of a small tax increase. I think that's completely normal, but not as large as I've seen them in the past. Get your peanut butter. Enjoy your peanut butter. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Every time you go to the grocery store, like,
Yeah,
oh wow, that's another $2 or another
there you
dollar,
go.
or it's the same thing and it's just a lot smaller than it was
Yeah,
before, right? So,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
I know, I hear
terrible.
you on that.
That's one
Um,
thing
uh,
that I mean, sorry, I'm just gonna go a little bit offside here, but I was thinking about, because I'm gonna resign from some of the boards that I'm on right now, just because I just don't want there to be any conflict of interest, but I'm gonna try to see if I can get on the board of the Ottawa Food Bank, because we have a lot of food bank usage in my ward, and I just think could be a good advocate for my residents on there. I mean, I have to get in touch with them. I'm not exactly sure how their structure works, but that's something I'm definitely looking into.
yeah, no, that's a great goal, and it would be great to see you on there and create some synergies there.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
a couple more questions. I want to talk about community safety. It's another major issue. We're seeing violent incidents rise across our city. We know your ward has quite a few as well. When it comes to improving community safety, what issues come to mind as the most urgent to address?
Oh, good question. I would say the loudest sort of group on this issue is definitely the Byward Market. A lot of people have told me they don't go to the Byward Market anymore. It's not safe. I just want to tell, the 49,000 students, their parents, the diplomat, like Ottawa is overwhelmingly safe. Like it's a very safe city. It's one of the safest cities in the G7. Do we have problems in the downtown core? Yes, we have big city downtown problems. Um, I don't necessarily think an increase in policing is the solution. Now, could police work side by side with social service agencies? Absolutely. One of the things I would like is when you dial 911, you have an option for a mental health coordinator or a mental health sort of visit. I don't necessarily think someone who's screaming in the middle of the road because they're they have some mental health issues is someone who should be arrested. That doesn't make any sense and seems like a big waste of resources. That being said, the merchants in the Byward Market have asked for like a policing kind of station, not necessarily like a full staff police station, but like a place where the police can kind of put their bikes, grab a coffee, because they want them to be sort of walking around the Byward Market more, if only for that sort of visual sense of safety for the tourists who are in the Byward Market. If that's something that they can finance and they can put together themselves, I think that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. We actually used to have a small police outpost in the Byward Market. But there's definitely a need, and I say this over and over and over again, and I will say it all the time, to spread out our social services. Our social services are very much concentrated in the downtown core, and we know there's addiction. We know there's homelessness in other parts of the city. I always use this analogy that if you wanted to learn to skate and every single rink was in Rideau-Vanier, you would think that's crazy. You would want the skating rinks to be spread out around the city. And that's how I think our shelter model should be. It should be scaled down. It should be in other parts of the city. And then I think we'll see a lot of the problems that you have outlined disappear, because, and they're not going to vanish. I want to clarify that, but I don't think they'll be as concentrated, because one of the things we're seeing is you kind of have to play this game of whack-a-mole in Rideau-Vanier. So you kind of wake up, you have your schedule, but then reality sets in. Oh, there's been an overdose. Oh, someone has died. Oh, we arrested a drug dealer. And then your day just kind of gets consumed up with this whack-a-mole. And so I'm hoping to kind of spread out our social services so we can better respond to the needs of the communities outside the downtown core who need them.
Yeah, great points, and really nice to kind of work with some of the other wards and the other
All right.
councillors as well. So, no, that's great. So we here at Synapsity, we're all about creating engaged citizens. And I'm wondering, how do you want your constituents to engage with you over the next 4 years? What are some ways that they can reach out to you, and how can they win your support on things they care about?
Well, I am very present in the community. I live in the community. So like, feel free to stop me when I'm walking my dog, tell me my dog is cute, and we can have a conversation. I also plan on doing some door to door, even after I'm elected. I plan on, when there's, a park consultation or something. I will be at every single community association meeting. And if I can't make it for whatever reason, a member of my team will be there. And I'm also available, like every other person, on social media and by email. I'm a really engaged person. So people know, sadly, I guess, my personal email, and they know my phone number. So there's no escaping the outreach of the community. I'll be there.
Yeah, no, you seem very approachable, so that's going to be a great trait as you get into office. Well, thanks for joining us today, Stephanie. I know you're a little bit under the weather, and you've obviously got a pretty crazy schedule as you fit a lot in. Did you have any last words for our Synapsity audience?
No, this was great. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. I hope to maybe come to some of your in-person events in the future. We'll see how that goes, but I'm a big fan of councillors getting outside their ward, meeting other councillors, meeting other associations and organizations around the city. I think it's very important. So thank you for doing this.
Thanks again, Stephanie, and best of luck as you enter your new position.
Thank you. Bonne journée.
Thank you for watching Community Connections, brought to you by Synapse. Be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Until next time, stay connected.